Hey,
Jordan was the best player on his team. Bird was the best player. Magic was the best player. LeBron was the best player. Now, it might have taken 22 years for you to say, you know what? LeBron is the second best player. Now that he got a guy that's damn near 10 years, 14 years younger than he is. Luka just turned 26 the other day.
Shannon Sharpe reacts to LeBron James calling out the media. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Ocho, LeBron started a bit of a discourse on Friday when he spoke about Ant not striving to be the face of the league. Let's take a listen to what GOAT James had to say.
Go James.
I don't know. Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? That responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy.
I hear what LeBron is saying. He's been trashing the media for about, 22, 23 years now. Some was warranted, other was kind of overboard. I had my troll moments with LeBron, but don't really got no issue with them personally, even though he says some things that may be questionable. His play on the court is pretty much flawless. Not perfect, but just as far as what he brings to media, the money that he generated to the NBA, even money that he helped generate for me personally and other content creators covering him over the last 20 plus years. Shout out to LeBron, and I see why, you know what? You want to be the face of the NBA, you know what comes with it. They're going to be talking junk about you every single day until the end of your career and maybe after your career. So respect to what he said as far as calling out the media on that standpoint.
I like that. I like it. I like it. But again, are you able to be the face of the league and deal with the scrutiny that comes with on the other side of the media? Can you not care? The word I like to use, and you use this time, can you compartmentalize and separate the two? Still go out there and do what you need to do, despite knowing with being the face of the league, you got to be on 24/7. Are you going to be on 24/7? Absolutely not. You're going to have your nights. You're going to have your nights. You're going to have your nights you off. You're going to have your night. You want your highs to be, you want the percentage of your highs to be much better than your lows.
Yeah, for sure.
Who wants to deal with that, though, Unc? You think about it. LeBron is the right person to be able to talk about it because he didn't have pressure because he came out of high school.
Yes.
He had to deal with it. Times 10, more than anybody I could think of because of the expectations coming out of high school.
But you know what? The thing is, Ocho, is that, look, that's not something a player says, I want to be the face. That we get to determine that. The media get to determine the face of the NBA. The fans get to determine the face of the NBA, not said player. That's not something. LeBron didn't say I'm the face of the NBA. That's not what Magic. That's not what Jordan. That's not what Bird. That's not what Kobe. That's not what Steph did.
Right.
It's sustained excellence for the period of time, and they won.
I hear what Shannon's saying on that standpoint, but sometimes you can allude to it. Sometimes you can do things, maybe manipulate things to where, you know what, I wouldn't mind being the face of the NBA. I may not say I want to be the face, but, actions speak louder than words. And of course, you got to have sustained greatness for many years, stay out of the media headlines in a bad way, which LeBron has done pretty much his whole life. LeBron was a perfect fit to be the face of the NBA once he left high school and jumped straight into the NBA. Again, flawless off the court and pretty much flawless on the court as far as what he's done for the NBA and media. But as far as Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, those are possible good fits to be the face of the NBA. But again, actions speak louder than words, and you got to have sustained greatness.
It's a sustained excellence for a period of time, and you win. Just because you got a couple of highlights, that don't mean you about to be the face of the league.
Nah.
And look, I get it. It's like, well, Jason Tatum and Shai, and it's just hard for me to see a foreign-born player because this is an American sport. It's just hard for me to see Americans getting behind a non-American athlete saying you're the face of our sport.
Right.
But
that may be a great thing. Think what Ohtani's doing in baseball. You got a lot of foreigners, especially in MLB. He's perfect. Think about what he can do as far as the Asian and Chinese market. If you got a Giannis or a Nikola Jokic, a Wemby in France, you want those players to be the face of the NBA because the NBA, they're trying to continually reach that international market. So I'm all for anybody potentially being a face of the NBA. You can be American born, you can be overseas because, money talks and BS walks. So of course, everyone's hyping up Wemby right now. He still has to have sustained excellence and greatness for many years. Hopefully he can come back from that, the blood clotting. But he's right in line to be the face of the NBA. The NBA know what they're doing. They want that international market.
but we'll see what happens. But when you look at Ja, you look at Ant, you look at Tatum, and people are like, well, Jason Tatum, I like Jason Tatum. But
like
people keep saying, well, hold on.
You don't have
Are
that.
we sure Jason Tatum is the best player on his own team? Because all I know,
Jaylen Brown.
Finals MVP went to Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
All I know is Eastern Conference Finals MVP went to Jaylen Brown. So are we certain?
Right.
Because it can be no ambiguity.
But you see what the NBA is trying to do. You see what media is trying to do. Whenever they talk about the Boston Celtics, who's going to be talked about the most? Who has the most commercials? Jason Tatum. But who's really the best player on that team? From defensively, offensively, the moves and everything, you got to go with Jaylen Brown. But you know, he has some things that he said previously, called out the media, mainstream, and he kind of moves like how Kyrie moves, and the NBA and the mainstream media, they don't like that. So the less that you talk and the more entertaining that you are, Jason Tatum, of course, we want him to be the face. If there's going to be a new face for the NBA over Jaylen and Jason, yeah, you're going to push for Tatum to be the face of the NBA. So the media, they really pick who's going to be the face of the NBA. Even if you have sustained excellence for many years, think about how many great players we've had over the last 30 or 40 years. But we only talk about Jordan, LeBron, a little bit of Kobe. Those are like the main faces of the NBA. But of course, Jordan and LeBron, they ran with it. So, but the media knows how to push narratives, and that's why LeBron James called them out.
Kobe couldn't come to face of the league as the second best player on his own team.
Right.
Shaq had to leave in order for him to be that face.
Right. Hey.
Jordan was the best player on his team. Bird was the best player. Magic was the best player. LeBron was the best player. Now, it might have taken 22 years for you to say, you know what? LeBron is the second best player now that he got a guy that's damn near 10 years, 14 years younger than he is. Luka just turned 26 the other day. But, I mean, Zion's got to win. He's got to be on the court.
Yeah.
So the guys that we can say as far as American players, Ja, Ant-Man, Zion, Jason Tatum, we'll see.
You got to include Luka as well. I forgot to name him as far as international players, but by him being in that LA market, playing for the Lakers, probably the most historical franchise next to Boston in the NBA and in sports, got to put Luka up there. He has a chance to possibly win a championship this season or next season, depending on if LeBron's going to stay around for another 2 or 3 years. That team is playing better, and they'll have a lot of cap space if LeBron decides to move on, go to another team, or retire. So as long as you got Luka there, you got to include him as being the face of the NBA for years to come. He just has to win a championship. Came close with the Mavs last season, but Boston, they were just too good. But I like Luka possibly being the face of the NBA. Wemby, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should be, but he's not in a major market. But he's playing great. Should be the MVP. Should have won last season. So again, man, I like what the NBA's doing. Got to push these international players. Shout out to America. I'm an American all day, but I recognize the talent, especially internationally.
Ocho, he elaborated the next morning. Exactly made my point. But anyways, happy this convo has started it. Ain't no face of the game. Ain't no about one person or one show. It's about a culture of basketball, the beautiful game in the most beautiful game in the world. Right. Our game has never been better. Incredible young stars from all over the world and some elder ones. Steph Curry should be all we're talking about today. True. Man dropped 56. We talked about it, Ocho. Let's discuss how great OKC and the Cavs have been this season with two completely different styles and break down why and how they have. Of course, if players don't perform, we need to discuss that too and break that down.
But I like what LeBron's doing now in the latter stages of his career. He's being a little bit more vocal, not really giving a F. I'm going to talk my talk. You know the end is near for LeBron as far as being an NBA player. But the only thing with LeBron is if he wants to be an NBA owner, you don't want to go too far out there and, kind of put your foot in your mouth, especially if you want to own a team, maybe in Las Vegas in the next few years. Even though Stephen A. Smith, he kind of called him out like, you're sitting out of all-star games, you're saying stuff within the media. Owners are going to take notice of that, and you got to get voted in order to be an owner in the NBA and in any sport. So shout out to LeBron for, speaking facts on this one, calling out the media. You may not like everything LeBron does or what he represents, but he been on point, the last few times he decided to speak on certain topics, especially surrounding the media.
Even that can't be discussed in a way that's not bring finality to a player's game, but leave room to see how the player responds, and let's watch the journey of that player. This ain't about me either. At this point, I really don't care what you said about me. It's always something. This is about the impact of negativity it's having on our beautiful game and our fans. I know it speaks a lot about players, but more importantly, a hell of a lot of great fans and truly love and celebrate the sport around the world. Mind the game.
Now, even though LeBron, he may not give a F now, he kind of does in a sense because he's going to try to spin that narrative, but I just think he's being more vocal, and that's what I got to appreciate with these recent comments with LeBron calling out the media. You know, stand on business. Don't run from it. It's still going to be media news. It's still going to make headlines. But, you know, everybody was talking about his comments, but Steph Curry scored 56 points. You got the OKC Thunder and the Cavs are playing good. But honestly, if you're not the Lakers, you're not the Boston Celtics, you're not the Mavs as far as what the media can generate and push views, you're not going to be talked about, even if you have a Donovan Mitchell playing great, Garland, Shai Gilgeous, that whole team. They can be playing good, but what's going on with LeBron? What's going on with the Warriors maybe? As a team, we got to talk about stuff that's going to generate views and money. So a lot of those teams ain't getting love, and LeBron had to call them out on that, had to call the media out.
I mean, look, the sports are about stories. What's the story? I mean, Shai, we're about to have another foreign-born MVP.
Yep.
That's what we're about to have. Whoa. Shai is from Canada. Jokic just won 3.
Hold on. Shai not from the crib?
Shai's from Canada.
Straight off Canada, man. Shout out to Drake.
Shai from Canada. Jokic just won 3. Giannis has won 2. Joel Embiid. So it's been a while since we had an American-born MVP.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while. Look, he's right. The Cavs be getting up threes. Donovan Mitchell didn't play tonight, but they had Ty Jerome come in, played unbelievable, but they had to come from behind because they were down damn near the whole game in Portland, and they came back and they ended up winning in overtime. But they've been really good, and they were down the other night against Boston and found a way to win in Boston because Boston has had their number this year, Ocho.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, Kenny Atkinson has those guys playing really, really well. I don't think he should have lost his job in Brooklyn, but hey.
Solid coach in Brooklyn.
They got guys and they wanted to move in a different direction. And with that level of talent, when your aspirations are championship and you hire a guy like Steve Nash.
Mm-hmm. Hey, not the best look.
They did, but look, if you're the face of anything, too much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of benefits as far as advertising dollars, as sponsorships going to come your way. But you do heavy as the head that wears the crown.
And that's one of the pros of it now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, shout out to LeBron. Keep standing on business. Don't shy away from this. It's still going to be talked about in the media for the next few days, maybe the few weeks, who knows? But he sparked the conversation. I know Stephen A. Smith, he got in his feelings. He was kind of taken aback, made some comments, and I think that's when LeBron James clapped back on social media. But, you know, being the face of the NBA, it takes a lot. It may take the toll on you mentally, because you got to be able to move correctly on and off the court. And a lot of players can't do that. But shout out to LeBron. Shout out to these foreign players. You may have to look into a foreign player being the face of the NBA. Don't really hear too much, news about these foreign players. They move correctly off the court and they're playing great on the court. We've seen the last few MVPs, Nikola Jokic and Embiid, and now you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So the league is in, good hands as far as internationally and some of the American players. But we'll see what happens moving forward with this conversation and who's going to be the next face of the NBA.